All right, let me switch to speaker view. Happy Tuesday evening, everyone. I'm so glad you guys decided to join us. My name is Dr. Staci Holweger, and I am excited to share some information with you guys tonight on the science and technology of LifeWave, the X39 stem cell activation patch, as well as some of the other patches. We will be getting into some of those, I am sure. So I want to give you a little update, or maybe even kind of share with you how I run this if this is the first time you're joining us tonight. So I do want to start off, first of all, by saying that I am not your physician. Even though I do hold a PhD in integrative and functional medicine, I am not here to treat or cure or diagnose anything that is going on with you. The information that I'm going to share tonight is informational. And of course, you will be getting back with the person that invited you, and they're going to be able to help you get set up with whatever you need, all your questions answered as well. But here's the way this runs, okay? So I am going to share science and tech with you, how the patch works, and I'm also going to answer the frequently asked questions so we get those covered ahead of time. And then what I want you to do after that, so I'll probably take 15 minutes or so, right? I want you to have your questions ready, things that you want to know about the patches, how they work and what for what and that kind of stuff, right? But remember, I am not going to talk about any specific diseases or disorders or syndromes. So if you have your question, you're like, what do I use for diabetes? I am not going to be able to talk to you about diabetes because that would show that I'm claiming to treat or cure something. So your questions would be, well, Dr. Staci, what would you recommend for blood sugar issues? Because my blood sugar is off, okay? Or if you have, let's say, for example, this is common. People will say, what do I use for ADD or ADHD or someone that's on the spectrum? Well, we're going to talk about the brain. Okay, so just keep in mind that I'm going to refer back to systems and organs, and I will be referencing, of course, everything that David Schmidt, the inventor of this technology, has shared. If I could, I wish I could have everything that's in his brain in my brain. Where is that chip to insert? But I am going to be sharing with you all the information that I have learned from him in the last year and a half from watching his videos and attending his events in person and listening and writing, taking notes like a banshee, right? And storing them in my brain for memory to be able to share with you guys. So just keep that in mind. We're not here to treat, diagnose, cure anything, but I will be answering your questions on different types of symptoms that you are experiencing. So make your grocery list of your symptoms, your problems, things that you would like to be able to check off that list to improve your quality of life. So let's go ahead and get started with this science and tech and how it works. So we are talking about a patch that is non-transdermal, and this is what it looks like. It looks like a little round Band-Aid. And there are actually 12 different patches. David Schmidt is the inventor of this technology. He was working for the Navy SEALs 20 years ago, contracted by the U.S. Department of Defense. And he was asked to help them with their mission on their mini subs, to invent something to help out with oxygenation and whatnot in the field. Well, that was going really great. He invented some amazing things for the SEALs, and they asked him to see if he could sit in and listen in on another problem that the SEALs had, which was energy, endurance, stamina, and sustainability in the field. You know, SEALs are on mission for days, weeks on end, and they had been, of course, on caffeine, amphetamines, uppers, and everything not good for your quality of life. And so they asked David, would you like to sit in and see if you could potentially offer something as a solution for our SEALs? And so he did, listened in, and was actually downloaded or given the information by the divine, by God, to invent a patch called Energy Enhancer, which is actually a 2-patch system. And this patch turns body fat into fuel. It triggers beta oxidation. And so what that did for the SEALs was give them endurance, stamina, energy, and what they needed in the field to improve their quality of life without the caffeine, amphetamines, and uppers. So David Schmidt inventor of these patches, inventor of this technology, started working with the Navy SEALs 20 years ago. So that's how it got started. Well, I know you guys that are in the United States know what happened on 9/11. And of course, our country had a very unfortunate event with the World Trade Centers. And so they pulled out of the mission with the SEALs and diverted their attention to bear more arms and protect our country. And so that David in the U.S. Department of Defense in that contract was no longer needed. And so David thought, this worked really well. And he'd already connected with the Stanford swim team. So he got with that coach and they started doing clinical studies on this product at Stanford. And then from there, it went to the USA Olympic swim team. And so things were going really well, 2 years of clinical studies. And David thought, I'm going to start my own company. Got ideas for other patches that can help people improve their quality of life. There birthed LifeWave, which is actually 18 years ago last month. And so LifeWave is the name of the company. David is the owner, the CEO, and the inventor of all of our technology. And all of the information was given to him by the divine to create these different patches, and they all work the same way. So there's the background. I want you to understand how they work. They work with your body's light. Remember, I said this is a non-transdermal patch. So I'm sure you're familiar with transdermal patches. Transdermal patches like pain patch, nicotine patch, birth control patch, hormone patch, estrogen patch, right? All of those put a substance or a chemical or a medicine into the body in hopes that it will alter it in some way and produce a result. This does not work that way. Okay, so this works what's called photobiomodulation. So you guys are very familiar, I'm sure, with red light therapy, whether it's a red light bed or pads that you stand in front of or maybe put on your body. I know I used to take my daughter to the acupuncturist and they would have red light and blue light laser wands and they would put those over the acupuncture points. Or how about a sauna? Have you guys ever been in an infrared sauna? Right? They have different wavelengths of light that do different things. I push the button in mine and it's detox. So a specific wavelength of light goes into my body. You don't see it, but it's helping my cells to detox. I push a different button and it's for cardio, brings my heart rate up. Push a different button and it, does anti-aging for the skin or pain removal, whatnot. So that is photobiomodulation from the outside, an outside light source. So in this technology, our body is the light source. We are light. We emit a low-level infrared light. And right now here on the East Coast, where Laura and Gloria and I are, it's dark. And so if you go outside right now, you can't see your neighbor. You can't see the animals outside unless you're looking through night vision goggles. So that's how you know that the body emits light, right? Emits heat because it's seeing the different colors through the night vision goggles. So put your hand on your chest. You're 98.6-ish, right? I hope you are. And so that heat is what this patch is working with, okay? So you see the inside, see that white part? Embedded in that is a crystal lattice structure, okay? And so that structure is made up of what David invented, a proprietary organic blend of amino acids, sugars, oxygen, and water. That forms a crystal lattice. That lattice is embedded in here. We put the patch on. Our body's heat reflects back a specific wavelength of light from this patch. Okay, a very specific wavelength of light goes into the body, increases our GHK-Cu, copper peptide, and increases our body's own stem cell production. It actually resets a third of the genes back to their young, youthful state, like when you were a child. It actually upregulates those genes so they start functioning correctly again. And we know genes express to other genes. And so there's a beautiful compound effect from using this patch day after day, week after week, month after month. But one of those genes, P63 gene, actually mobilizes your stem cells. You guys, you had an abundance of stem cells when you were born. Stem cells are pluripotent, which means they turn into any cell, tissue, or organ in the body that's needed. So when you're young, you have an abundance, which is why kids sleep like babies, why they have boundless amounts of energy, and why they look young and youthful. And then, of course, they can hurt themselves, fall out of trees, fall off bikes, cut themselves, and boom, they're back up running. No big deal. Their bodies are healing just like this, right? Because of those stem cells on board that are active and they're mobilized and they're moving around and they're doing all the things to keep the young kids young and healthy, right? We don't see 5-year-olds with gray hair or 10-year-olds or with back pain or 12-year-olds with heart disease. It just doesn't exist because the body's always working to repair and regenerate itself. So keep that in mind, because that's where this technology really gets amazing. So unfortunately, by the time in your 30s, you're making about half of those stem cells. There are about half of them that are active and mobile in your body. The other half are dormant. They're just chilling out, doing nothing because you're aging. Well, by the time in your 60s, any of you guys in here in your 60s or beyond, 60s, you've got about 10%. Beyond that, there are none detectable in the bloodstream. So this patch, you put this patch on in the morning, back of the neck, CV7, below the belly button, stick it right here, stick it in your forehead, put it on your big toe. It does not matter. It is working to immediately upregulate those genes, to signal your body to increase its GHK-Cu, which declines as we age, increase its stem cell production, get those stem cells moving around immediately from day one. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that you're going to experience pain reduction, better quality of sleep, more energy, clarity, focus, faster wound healing, all those things I said that kids experience, you're going to start to experience those things too. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not telling you they are going to be things that you experience from day one. Okay? I put this patch on. I felt nothing for 3 weeks. I put it on Laura, and in 20 minutes, she had range of motion and no pain in her shoulder. Now, why did that happen for her and not me? I don't know, but I didn't have any pain either, but I didn't feel anything. I put the patch on Joanne, Holly back in May when I saw them at an event. Boom, they immediately started feeling tingling, warm sensation. Woo, I can feel the energy in this thing. Something's moving in my body. About half of you are going to feel something right away in the first maybe 5 to 7 days. And then the other half of you, it's going to be like, you know, the rest of us clinical studies show about 3 to 6 weeks before we start feeling things. But no, it's working from the second you put it on. And remember, like I said, there's a compound effect. So you put this on in the morning, you leave it on 12 hours, you stay very, very, very hydrated. Half your body weight in ounces every single day in water. Water is so key for your life, period. Okay. But for your cells, as we age, our cells become more dehydrated. That's just part of aging. And so for the light, right? This is a wearable light technology. For the conductivity in your cells, we want you to be hydrated. We want you to feel amazing. What's going to happen if you put this patch on and you don't stay hydrated? You may have a headache. You may not have a lot of energy. You may actually feel fatigued. Okay. And we don't want you to feel that. We want you to feel great. We want you to feel the best that you can feel on this at whatever day that happens to be that you start feeling that. But water is the key. If you don't like water, you're an adult. Deal with it. Start drinking it. That's what we do because you're an adult and you're following the instructions. If your doctor said you're going to take this antibiotic for 10 days, 3 times a day, and you're not going to drink alcohol with it, you're going to listen because you want that infection gone, right? So I'm telling you in a very nice voice that you're going to put this patch on every day for 12 hours. And during that time, you're going to drink half your body weight in ounces in water. You're going to take it off and throw it away and do it again the next day until I tell you to take it off. And so if you don't like water, soak it in strawberries overnight, soak it in pineapple, soak it in cucumber, mint, lemon, lime, orange. I do not care, but just don't use Gatorade or vitamin water, Propel, or any kind of artificial sweeteners. I want you drinking real, pure, healthy water, good for you water. Okay. So what am I going to expect after that that initial maybe 3 to 5, 7 days if I feel anything? Or what am I going to expect during that 3 to 6 weeks that we know clinical studies show starts to really have some pretty big improvements in people? Well, about 80% of the people are going to start to feel things between 3 to 6 weeks. You're going to notice not only the pain reduction and the memory and the energy and the clarity and the sleep, things like that, but you'll also notice improvements in your nervous system. I had a lady message me earlier, and she's just been using the patch 5 days actually, but she said, I already noticed that I'm not as stressed out with things that are super, super stressing me on a daily basis with work and time and commitments. I'm not stressed. What is the deal with this? And I'm like, oh, it's working on your nervous system faster. That's fantastic. But we see improvements in nervous system around that 3 to 6 week mark. We see improvements in digestion. Oh my gosh, Jane, I had her, she called me, she said, I don't know what's happening, but I haven't been going daily for years and years and years. And now I'm having daily bowel movements from this patch. How is that happening? I'm like, well, works on your digestive system. That's fantastic. And so the next thing that we start to see also is improvement in our immune system. People really start to recover from illnesses. And of course, you've probably heard Gloria's testimonial from long haulers, using the patches and how things really start to get moving and get your body, your immune system back in check, right? And so that's some really great improvements. But here's something I want to tell you, okay? Clinical studies, everything I'm saying is based on clinical studies. And you can see all of these studies. Laura's going to put a website in the link. It's startx39now.com. Remember I told you about that compound effect? Day after day, week after week, month after month. How many of you guys have a heart? Everybody? Okay, you all have a cardiovascular system. Well, we want to take care of that cardiovascular system. We know that the number one killer is heart disease. And we all have a heart and we all want to take care of it. So here's what you need to know about this patch with your heart, your entire vascular system. We don't see any improvements in your vascular system in the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, not even weeks 5 do we see any improvements in your cardiovascular system. But guess what happens at week 6? At week 6, we start to see huge improvements in the entire vascular system. We see that it improves as if it were 8 weeks younger. The functionality of your entire vascular system starts functioning like it were 8 weeks younger, but that does not happen until week 6. So I want you to think about that. What's going to happen if I'm on it another 6 weeks? Well, then it's functioning another 8 weeks younger. That compound effect literally not only impacts all of your cells, all of your tissues, all of your organs, but your heart and your vascular system, which is really, honestly, one of the most important things next to your brain that you need to take care of. The heart and the brain are obviously the gut, right? Heart-brain connection, the gut-brain connection. We want to keep those things as healthy as possible because they're responsible for running everything else in our body. And knowing that I don't have to know any of this. I don't have to understand any of this. I just have to get up in the morning, put this Band-Aid on, leave it 12 hours and take it off 12 hours later, throw it away. If you have a pet, put it on your pet or put it in your pet bed or put it on your pet collar. But if you don't have a pet or if you have puppies like I do that you don't need to do anything with, then just throw it away and get a new one out the next day. They come in a month's supply. That's how they're packaged. Okay. Here's something I want you to understand as well too. There are no side effects. The only thing I told you is if you are not drinking enough water, you're probably going to have a little bit of a headache and not feel so great. Okay, so water is important, but there are no side effects. You don't have any contraindications to any medications, any therapies, any supplements, any herbs, anything that you're doing, because there's nothing going into the body. Nothing, right? This is a wearable light technology. It is a biophotonic exchange of information. Our body's light communicating with the light that's in this patch. And so when you know that you don't have to worry. Now, remember, I told you I'm not your doctor, so I'm not here to treat or diagnose anything, but I can tell you from a year and a half myself personally using this with thousands and thousands and thousands of people that you can safely use your medications. The only thing is if you have an organ in your body, like for example, I had someone text me today, hey, so-and-so had a liver transplant. Can they use the X39 stem cell activation patch? No. The reason why is because we don't have clinical studies with organ transplants. We don't know what increasing your stem cells will do if your body will start to reject that organ. You're on serious immunosuppressant drugs if you've had an organ transplant. If you have a valve in your heart from a pig or a cow, that is not an organ transplant. If you have a skin graft from an animal, that is not an organ transplant. Okay. If you have, like Laura, a hip replacement, or if you've had a knee replacement, that is not an organ transplant. Okay. But I do want to make that clear. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I first started using these patches, remember that Zoom Laura, the patching podcast, where the lady had the kidney transplant and she'd been using the X39 for 3 months. And we're like, oh my God, she's alive. We didn't know her, but she was on the testimonial call. We're like, oh my God. So there is one person that had a kidney transplant and successfully used the X39. But like I said, we just don't have clinical studies. It's the same thing with kids. And I know you guys are going to ask me questions about children. We do not have any clinical studies on kids. You just can't do clinical studies on kids. And so we don't have any. I will tell you the first 2 people I patched were my children. Taylor, my daughter, who was in a wheelchair for 15 years, nonverbal. She was the reason why I found out about these patches. She's the reason why I started purchasing them and using them for her, obviously for my son, my husband, and myself, and why Laura and I went to that first event with David a year and a half ago and learned more about this, of course. And April sent me all the videos and I watched all of that, and I wanted to patch my kids instantly. My son's healthy as could be, nothing wrong with him, but we're all exposed to toxins. He was 16 at the time and, healthy. Like I said, not one single health problem, but I put the X39 and Eon on him for a couple of weeks just to kind of give him a little extra boost to kind of get rid of anything extra, damage. I mean, who knows, mentally, physically, emotionally, that's what the X39 does. And Eon reduces inflammation. And of course, he's, sports, he's dirt bike racer. I mean, my God, the kid's never had a surgery, but he's, banged his body up enough, just like any kid has. So for me personally, those were the first 2 people because they're the 2 people that I obviously love the most. And I patched them. So you have to make your own personal choice if you're thinking about children, patching them. It's a personal choice. Okay. So with that being said, I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions. So if you have questions, you're going to type them in the chat. So have I muscle tested with the patches? Yes, I muscle test all the time. I love muscle testing, asking which patch serves my highest good. That's always the statement that I use when I muscle test. Does this serve my highest good? As I'm holding the patch, does it serve my highest good for me to use this tonight? If I go forward, that means yes. If I go back, that means no. But I love doing that. Do you have an optimum copper levels in human body, and do the patches change copper levels? So do you know the optimum copper level? I know that as on a daily basis, copper levels different depending on age and male versus female. On a daily basis, David's always recommended that we have 2.5 to 3 milligrams of copper a day, just for overall health. He says you can get this from liver or dark chocolate. Me personally, dark chocolate. So David always says around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a couple little squares of dark chocolate. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I like mine that has the intense orange in it. So around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll have a couple squares of that. But as far as patches, the patches do not affect your copper level. They increase GHKCU, which is copper peptide. Okay, so it's a peptide that's in the body. That peptide, GHKCU. Laura, will you put in the website reverseagingwithghk.com? That's a Dr. Lauren Picard. He spent 5 decades of clinical studies and research with people. That's all posted on his website. It has nothing to do with LifeWave or this patch, but that's where David started his research over almost 15 years ago now in trying to figure out how to activate the body's own stem cell production. But GHKCU stands for copper peptide, and it's a peptide that's signaled in the body, and then in turn, of course, signals our own stem cell production. Can the patches be used in children? Oh, I already answered that. She's thinking of glutathione in particular. Again, that's a personal choice. The youngest I've ever put a patch on, Laura, was Kay's little baby when she was 6 weeks old. She came over with a rash and she's like, put the glutathione on her to help clear up her little rash. But I can't say that, obviously, of course. So is there a patch that helps with fertility? So getting the body in balance is the key. And the key to that is using our X39 stem cell activation patch, getting the body in balance by signaling its own stem cell production. We always, and this is what David said, I was in a year and a half ago, I was in California, and someone asked this exact question when David was doing a presentation. And he said, get the body in balance. This is what you get the body in balance with. You want to reduce the inflammation in the body. Reducing the inflammation is very important for anything and everything in the body. So let me do a quick pause and say this, because you're going to ask me about a lot of stuff, and I'm going to tell you X39 and Eon is always your starting point. So here's the way David describes it, and you can hear him talk about this on videos. So let's say you go get a stem cell injection. Your shoulder is bummed. You have like Laura, right? No range of motion, pain, all stiffness, all this stuff, right? Torn rotator cuff. You want to go get stem cells, 25 grand. Okay, fantastic. We're going to inject the stem cells into the area that's hurting. Well, there's inflammation there, right? Inflammation causes pain. Say you inject 2 million stem cells. They go right here. The inflammation comes and consumes the majority of the stem cells. That's what happens in the body. You're left with about 200,000 stem cells. Do you want 2 million for 25 grand, or do you want 200,000? Obviously, this is not 25 grand, right? This is like literally the price of a cup of coffee a day. But the whole point behind that is inflammation is in your body. We all have inflammation from accidents, injuries, surgeries, stress, diet, lifestyle, things like that cause inflammation. So when you address the inflammation at the same time, you're increasing your own stem cell production. That is what we call the dynamic duo. Speeds up that progress because your body is not fighting against the inflammation that's in there. Okay. So David says these two, this was our #1 selling patch until he released X39 a little over 3 years ago. For obvious reasons, we know inflammation is the root cause of disease in the body. You know, and Kate, we can also look at SP6. SP6 does a fantastic job to balance the endocrine system. And that is a very, very important system in the body in general. So any of you that ask me about thyroid issues or adrenals, things like that, then we look at the SP6 as well. Can we put cut patches in half? Absolutely not. So the patches per David are not intended to, nor will they be effective if you cut them in half. When you look at a patch, it is sealed between a 3M hypoallergenic polymer, sticky part on one side, smooth on the other. You cannot cut them. If you cut them, then they're no longer going to be effective. If you want to wear them for a shorter amount of time, you can do that. If you're like, I'm just going to wear this for 6 hours, that's perfectly fine. Some people are like, I'm just going to leave, this is what I hear a lot, I'm going to leave half of the backing on and I'm going to take the other half off. So if we know how this patch works, that's not going to work either. And the reason why you can't just take off the other half the next day, because here's how the patch works. I can leave it like this with its back on and just hold it and it's working. How is that possible? We emit heat. Okay. You know, you sit down next to somebody and you're like, whew, that person's hot. Furnace, I'm moving away because they're too, you can feel their body heat coming off of them. We emit that heat or that light about 2 to 4 inches off the body. And so if I'm holding this in my hand, it's obviously coming in contact with my body, then the whole thing is working. If I take half the back of it off, the whole thing is still being stuck against my body. It's all working because it doesn't even need to have the backing off of it. That's why we can take this and use it on the inside of your clothing and it's still working just as if it were stuck on the body. Okay, so I can stick it here on the inside of the clothing. There we go. We put it on the inside of pillows. A lot of times there's kids on the, you know, they have the sensory issues and they're like, they won't even put a patch on their body. So mom puts the patches in the pillow at night while they're sleeping. How fantastic is that? So it's still working if it's stuck to your clothing. So it's still working if it has the back stuck on it, even if it's half, you're still getting the full amount. So definitely no cutting and definitely not half of it. Absolutely not. If you need to cut your time, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so where can we get recording? I'll have it on my YouTube after I'm done, okay? Make sure I don't miss anything. Can gradually increase. Perfect. Just making sure. Okay, so X39 couldn't sleep. Okay, so here's the thing. Remember I said X39 increases your GHK-Cu, increases your stem cell production. That gives you energy. So depending on what time you get up, your 12-hour window may not be a good time. I talked to somebody the other day and she's like, oh, I don't put my patch on till 10, but she wants to go to bed earlier than that. And I'm like, well, you can't that this doesn't work. You're not giving your body enough time to like come down and wind down a little bit, because it does give energy a lot of times to people. Mental energy, clarity, like you're go, go, go. I get done, more in 2 weeks than I get done in 2 years. So patching at 6, 7 a.m. is ideal, taking it off around 6, 7 p.m. If you don't get up that early, you might think about getting up that early. There's a lot you can get done when you get up earlier. But if you don't get up that early, then I'm an early riser. So think about maybe, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at the latest getting your patch on. And if you need to take it off a couple hours early at 6 o'clock, that's okay. It's still working, but you definitely want to make sure you give yourself enough time so you have time to, kind of wind down. Another thing that would be good would be using the Eon for her at night. Sometimes for people, like we only use ours during the day, but sometimes for people, if they can't shut the monkey mind off, or if they're just anxious, or they're just go, 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 and they never can calm down, let's definitely say no caffeine past 10 a.m. Okay, that's a big one for sleep. But using the Eon at night on the belly button, below that belly button area, that triple warmer, that's a spot that helps with calming the mind. And this, we know this patch not only reduces inflammation, but it also puts your body in a parasympathetic state. So that's fantastic. That rest, digest, relax, calm state. Use this at night before bedtime, and use your X39 during the day. Oh, good. You patched your dog. Fantastic. Can they be applied 2 patches on different spots? So you want to use one X39 at a time. There's no reason to use 2. But if you have 2 different patches, like say, for example, X39 and Eon, then yeah, you can put one on the below your belly button and one on the back of your neck. You can put one on the top of one big foot and one on the top of your other foot. You can put 2 different spots. Absolutely. Any placement of the patch recommendations for pain down the leg? We've tried different placements with the LifeWave patches. We get little relief, but we would love to hear options and try what may help the most. So pain down the leg. So where is the pain coming from? If it's, what I would do is I would take X39 and Eon. I lost one of my patches. Who knows where it went, but I'll do this one. I would take X39 and Eon and do what David calls kissing them. And I would put one underneath the other on your lower back, okay? On your spine, in the center, right there at your lower back. If you feel that area kind of like dips down, right? There should be a little dip in there, a little curve around your pelvic bone. Put these 2 patches like this. We call them kissing them. And then what I would do is I would try the LifeWave. Laura made a beautiful graphic, and I would do the LifeWave on the right and the left. LifeWave works with a white patch on the right and a tan patch on the left. So I would come above that, like your pelvic bone there, the sacrum area, right on the back. That perfect. Thank you, Laura. That I would do that. I would put the white on the right and the tan on the left and get that X39 and Eon there on the spine on that lower back. That one's up a little bit higher because there's an incision. They had a surgery, but that's what I would try to see if you can open up the energy channels in the body. The LifeWave, we do white right, tan left, works with the polarity of the body to open up the energy channels. If that doesn't work, you can come a little lower, maybe in the SI joint area, each butt cheek, try the LifeWave there. You should be able to get rid of pain in minutes, worst case scenario, hours, by using the LifeWave. Sometimes it subsides slowly. That's why I say hours. You can do the clockwise method. You can go to lifewavehealth.com, or no, LifeWave Health on YouTube, sorry. LifeWave Health on YouTube. That is David's YouTube channel. For LifeWave, and you'll be able to see him do the clockwise method if you want to pinpoint that exact spot on your leg and move that patch around to see if you can get relief that way. He gives you, there's 4 videos, they're like 5 minutes each, so he gives you lots of different ways to apply, but I would try X39 Eon low back. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you, Erin. We talked about this earlier. So pneumonia, patches would help for possibly creating the right chemicals or cells, possibly help the body support a faster recovery time from lung issues. So what we know from X39 is that it increases that GHK, right? You can see on that website, reverseagingwithghk.com, how that helps the lungs, the asthma, the allergies, the bronchitis, the COPD, all of that. But something I would use in conjunction, obviously the Eon, okay? I would definitely use the Eon. You want to reduce the inflammation in those lungs for sure. Glutathione would be fantastic for the immune system. So here's the beautiful thing about glutathione. I know there's over 200 of you on here. I know that probably 198 of you have heard of glutathione, and you know of that as an IV push, something that you get at the end of a drip, or maybe even a suppository or a supplement that you take. That is an exogenous source of glutathione, meaning it's putting something into the body. It's not actually your body's own glutathione, right? It's like a vitamin B. You're putting vitamin B into the body, vitamin C, that type of thing. So when we put glutathione in the body, it only has a 7-minute half-life. It only increases the glutathione in your body by about 20 to 23%. And then it's gone. Minutes, it's gone. This patch, how this works, this signals a peptide in your liver to increase your own glutathione level. We know that glutathione decreases as we age. That's just part of life. But using this will elevate your own glutathione level by 300 to 400%. And actually, again, you're wearing it 12 hours, sustain that elevated level for 24 hours. What does that mean for toxins in the body, free radicals in the body, viruses in the body, bacteria in the body, disease, heavy metals, parasites? It means that glutathione is going to go to work to get anything and everything that's a pathogen that's not good for your body and help to eliminate that. So I would definitely use glutathione. And I'm going to say one other thing because this is so important. Energy enhancer is huge for the lungs. And I know Gloria can attest to this, especially with long haulers and stuff stuck in your lungs and never feeling like you get a deep breath. Using the energy enhancer on these lung points up here is really important to get that phlegm out. So definitely using that as well too. I know you might think, oh my God, that's 4 patches. And I understand, but you have pneumonia. And you can, if you've been using X39 and it's not addressed the pneumonia yet, that's because you can't direct where your stem cells go. I love this patch. This is our starting point for everything, but I cannot direct my stem cells to go where I need them to go when I want them to go there. You just can't. So why has David invented supportive patches? To support our organs, to support the systems in the body, to help us to get relief faster. You guys want to put this on and you want your 20 years of chronic pain, fibromyalgia, MS, Parkinson's, leaky gut and all that stuff to be fixed in 30 days. I know that. And it's okay. I understand. We want it now, right? But it's not going to fix that in 30 days. It's going to take time for the body to repair and regenerate, rejuvenate, and to restore itself. Regenerative medicine takes time. So we use supportive patches to support the body to help things move along a little bit faster so you're happier, right? And you have that better quality of life. That doesn't mean you're going to need to be using all these supportive patches for months and years on end. It does not mean that at all. But it means that you can help your body get a little boost in the beginning to really kind of help you address those issues that you really want to address right up front. As far as ALS, I can't speak specifically to that because, again, of being it what it is, but I can talk to you about the brain. I can say, of course, X39, Eon, absolutely 100%. And when we look at the brain, we also look at carnosine. Carnosine is a huge antioxidant, second to glutathione. Your body makes it. This signals your body to make more of its own carnosine. Your carnosine loves to hang out in the brain. It loves to repair the brain, right brain, left brain hemisphere balancing, improving cognition, communication, increasing processing time. People say to me all the time, can you slow down when you're talking? I'm like, this is slow. Trust me. Laura and I sat there today and both got our hair done at the same time. And we're like, and like other people in the salon are like, what is happening over there? Because our brains are just processing so fast because we use these patches every day, right? Detox is aluminum from the brain. We know carnosine does that. Huge, 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 huge for the brain. So I would definitely use those. If you want to piggyback off of that with X49, it's amazing for the brain as well too. I just can't say enough about that patch, but definitely X39, Eon, and carnosine. ADD, ADHD, same thing I just said. Fatigue, same thing I just said would be fantastic. Add a little energy enhancer if you feel like you need a little extra boost in that stamina department, of course. Tell you about Nirvana. Does it work well without X39? Nirvana works on its own. That's the thing you guys need to remember. Each of these patches work on their own. Glutathione signals a peptide in the liver to increase your glutathione. Nirvana signals a totally different peptide to increase and to balance your neural hormones and your neurotransmitters in your brain. It's totally different patch. Does not need to have this to work. Okay. Why do we always start with the X39? Because there's nothing on the planet that signals your body to reset its own genes and to signal it to increase and mobilize its own stem cells that are young, youthful, pluripotent that go to work to fix everything. Do you want these two together for your brain? Oh my gosh, absolutely. Do you have to have this in order for this to work? No, you don't. This is going to work with depression, anxiety, stress, fear, worry, guilt, resentment, all types of things to do with the brain. This absolutely works without it, definitely. Thank you for asking. You obviously don't know. So my daughter actually passed away 7 months ago, very unexpectedly. And so we know she's here with us every single second of every single day, which is why I am here doing what I'm doing, because the impact these patches had on her. We spent 15 years with her in a wheelchair, doing everything under the sun, in and out of this country, you name it, holistic, we did it. I've had her on every table, every type of everything. And we never had anything in 15 years that did what 3 patches did for her in 1 year. We used X39, Eon, and Carnosine. And X39 Eon every single day on the back of her neck, and Carnosine 3 to 4 times a week at night at bedtime. And we had more results with her, more progress with her. She started talking to us. Her hormones balanced, her body completely changed, composition straightened out, muscles, bones, things were really twisted and torqued from being in a wheelchair for so long, and her bones straightened out, her facial structure. I mean, it was crazy. But the biggest thing was that her ability to communicate with us. And so we did have the best year we've ever had with her. So that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing, because of the impact that these patches made on her life and our life as well too. Can I use LifeWave during the day after having them at night? No, you want to give your body that 12-hour break. So if you're using them at night, use your X39 and Eon during the day. If you have, a little bit of joint pain and things like that, you can always use glutathione with it as well too. Lesions on your bone marrow, not wearing X39. So lesions on bone, I'm guessing you mean on your bone. I have lesions on my bone. Not wearing X39, should I? So that would be something, depending on what type of lesions those are, I would consult with your physician. Maybe and you want to give a little bit more information on that. X39 and X49, we know have massive impacts on the bone density, improving that, stopping bone loss, but I don't know exactly what you mean by lesions, so that could be another conversation. My bestie's having stem cell umbilical cord shots for breast cancer. Would she be a good candidate for what you suggest? So I banked both my kids' cord blood 20 years ago. So very familiar with that. A lot of people are doing donor cells, which is fantastic. With stem cells, umbilical cord cells, obviously that's an injection. There are some risks, possible, incorrect duplication of those cells because they're not yours. There's like a 30% chance of complications with that. And of course the cost. This is the price of a cup of coffee. We have 0 side effects, 0 complications. But that would be her personal choice on what she does. I don't know if she's doing chemotherapy or whatnot. You would not want to patch on any days that you're receiving chemo or radiation if that happened to be the case, but she would have to consult with her physician. My sister-in-law is targeted on chemo 1 every 3 weeks. Can she wear the patch? Oh, perfect timing. Just don't wear it when you're getting the chemo. Patch seems to help with digestive. Which one? Oh, definitely the X39 Eon. Absolutely. And SP6. SP6 works amazing for the digestive system, the intestines. We see that. Yes, you can definitely drink herbal tea. Absolutely. That's a great question. 85-year-old mother-in-law has bad back pain from disc tissue, but only when she stands. So after about 10 minutes, she has to sit. It's hard for her to do things. Let's see. So she's been using X39 Eon on the pain area for about 3 weeks without any relief. I would add the LifeWave for sure. Definitely. When I talked to Dr. Mario, he was on last Thursday. We had lunch or dinner last Tuesday, and he was talking about using X49. So he decided his back, his L5 lumbar area, pinched nerves. He actually put X49 directly on that area. as well, and it got rid of his pain like that. So I would use the LifeWave on her for sure. That picture that Laura showed, I would do that with your X39, your Eon on the low back, LifeWave on each side. And if you have an X49, I would stick it down there too on that low back area to see if that helps her get some relief. Perfect. And then, yeah, same thing with breast cancer. So here's the thing, obviously I can't talk about cancers. We do have personal testimonials of people. Laura cured herself from breast cancer about almost 5 years ago now, using IV vitamin nutrition, detoxification, supplementation, which is why she was interested in this. The carnosine, the glutathione were a big part of her regimen that she used. And of course, stem cell therapy is amazing. So we do have a Telegram channel. So the person that invited you guys that are asking questions about breast cancer, you can hear Laura's story, and you can hear Marcy's, and you can hear many other women that have used these patches in different stages of what they're dealing with a lot of people with different types of cancers. Actually, when I type in cancer in our Telegram, I think we have like 300 references. So there are a lot of personal testimonials of people that have shared. We can't, of course, make any claims or say, yes, you definitely can use it. It's a personal choice. So you had stem cell 5 years ago. It helped reduce inflammation, reduce pain in the knee and hip. Can the patch reduce inflammation like the intravenous? So this is not the same as getting stem cell injections in that there's no donor cell coming into your body. This is signaling your body to activate and mobilize its own stem cells, resetting them back to their young, youthful state. And so those stem cells are pluripotent, meaning they can turn into any cell, tissue, or organ and go to work to repair, regenerate anything and everything that's needed in the body. You just don't get to pick the order. But remember, there's that compound effect. So the longer you wear the patch, day after day, week after week, month after month, even year after year, then you start to wipe all of those things off of your grocery list of problems. But can it help? Absolutely. It can definitely help. I would use Eon to reduce the inflammation, and I would use the X39 as well to increase your stem cells. So retracing is so when you have past injuries in the body, maybe it was a fall, maybe it was a surgery, a break, things like that. Sometimes, not all the times, okay? Because I've had my fair share of injuries over the years, and I've had zero retracing. So it's not a 100% you're going to experience this. But sometimes as the body is repairing and regenerating itself, you may feel old injuries. Be like, oh, wait a minute, my hip hasn't hurt in 12 years. Why is my hip hurting today? Well, that's what we call retracing, where those stem cells have started to come into that area and started to work and repair. But again, I never felt any of that. My husband never felt any of that. And I would say 90% of the people that I talk to that have been using this for the last 3 years aren't experiencing retracing types of symptoms. But sometimes people do. And it's okay. It's just part of the body working and getting things moving. That's how sometimes people can feel heat. I've never felt heat from the patches, and I'm super in tune with my body. So we all feel something different. This patch on my chest is when I stuck here for purposes. It's either an X39 or Eon. I don't know. Right now, I've got 3 of them sitting over here. I'm constantly pulling patches off the side of my computer and sticking them on my chest until they no longer stick anymore for demonstration purposes. So yeah. Okay, so diabetic, I'm trying to save my kidneys. Okay, so let's talk about blood sugar and let's talk about organs. So when I look at, again, X39 and Eon, number 1 place to start, right? When I look at blood sugar, I look at carnosine. When I look at organs, I look at carnosine. Carnosine, we have massive, amazing clinical studies on what this does for the glycation process with working with your balancing your blood sugar. And we have huge improvements in what this does as well for your organs, including kidneys, obviously. You can also see great clinical studies for organs on glutathione. You can see them on SP6, and you can also see them on aloe vera. All of these patches positively impact your organs based on clinical studies. Significant, dramatically significant improvements in the organs. You don't need to use all of them. If you're like, where would I start? X39, Eon, carnosine. Absolutely. If I had to pick one after that, I would pick aloe vera. Can this also help reduce cholesterol readings? So when we look at the heart, we look at X39 and Eon. We also look at carnosine. just like we did the brain, right? The heart and the brain. And we also look at X49. Okay, this is the patch David just invented. It came out last year. We know that using X39 and X49 reduce systolic and diastolic blood pressure. We know that it's positively impacting the heart. So yes, this can definitely help your heart, improve your heart. We know this impacts your fibrinogen. It's one of the inflammatory markers. That is a direct correlation to coronary artery disease. Do I want to reduce my chance for coronary artery disease? These are your absolutely must-haves. Do I want to look at any other way to also support my heart? I'm going to use these two right here. They work almost the same, but they target different peptides, different pathways. So they're working in different ways to impact that same organ, that heart and the brain. This is like your heart and brain. Either one of these four right here could go for your heart or your brain or your muscles. Incredible. I know. How does that work? Because peptides don't just do one thing in the body. Peptides are responsible for a lot of things. That's why David is so genius, because he figured out how to signal peptides to do what we would say be one thing in the body, but yet they impact everything. Eon impacts the organs. We can see all this from clinical studies. Go to startx39now.com and you'll definitely be able to see all of the studies. Can the patches activate cancerous stem cells? I get asked that question a lot, and I am not an oncologist, so remember that, okay? And I'm not David. I did not invent the technology, but we do have over 90 clinical studies, double-blind, placebo, many of them done with people, obviously independent labs around the world. We do not have people reporting. We have millions and millions of people using the X39. We do not have reports of X39 causing cancer. We do not see that in any of our clinical studies, and we do not see that in the field across the board throughout the millions of people globally that are using this. We're in 81 countries, so we are not seeing that. You can definitely check with your doctor and have them look into this technology if you have further questions. Can you chat a bit about the endocrine system? SP6, yes. All right, so we have an endocrine system. We all do. Think from top all the way down to the middle. Think of your pituitary, your hypothalamus, your thyroid. Think of your adrenals. SP6 is going to balance that endocrine system. The endocrine system is responsible, like when I did my PhD in functional med, basically throughout all of the classes, all the coursework, everything said if your thyroid's messed up, everything else is going to be messed up in your body. Your heart's going to be messed up. Your organs are going to be messed up. You're going to have this and this and this and this and this disease start to happen if you do not get your thyroid in check. Your endocrine system has to stay balanced. Those adrenals out of balance, you hit a wall, right? It's just crazy what happens. So SP6, it is promoted as a metabolism booster and appetite suppressant. I forget about that component of it because obviously it's working, within your body with your pancreas, your organs, and things like that. So we do see that an 87% improvement in the physiological functionality of your entire endocrine system in 7 days. So we can see in clinical studies improvements in 7 days from using this patch. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to balance your endocrine system and all of your problems are going to be fixed with your thyroid in 7 days. Please do not think I'm saying that. But I'm saying that this patch can help get that system in balance. Of course, I would definitely use the X39 and Eon absolutely at the same time. We do see improvements in our hormones from using the X39, the Eon, and the SP6 as well too. But I'll be honest with you, the Shine and Dream, David just released these 2 weeks ago. They were invented for David. He invented them for himself and then of course decided to bring them to market. But he invented them for himself because he's going to be 60 next year. And looking at hormones is really important to your health and to longevity and vitality. Obviously with men, especially with that testosterone, and with women as well too, right? And so Shine and Dream balance hormones. Shine increases oxytocin, so it helps with that love, happy connection, feel good, energetic feeling. We use this one in the morning. You actually spray it. I'm not going to spray it now, but you spray it on your wrist and inhale deep 7 to 8 times slowly. This is not a fire or breath, like in and out, slow, deep breaths. We use Dream at night before bed. This actually induces a deep sleep. So do not use this except for like when you're in bed getting ready to turn off your light, because it's going to help you get a deep sleep. So these, and the person that invited you, or you can check in your back office if you're already a brand partner, we do have a link that tells you exactly what's in these and how they work, what they're doing with that special structured energized water that David has invented as well too, that's in here. But Shine and Dream are amazing. We can see changes even in testosterone in the first 3 days. We can see it go from 300 to 400, 300 to 700, even on some people 800. And so definitely I would use that. And as well for menopause, yes, because of the balancing of the hormones. Absolutely. Yep. Can you use the patches after you've had neck plate surgery done? Yes, you absolutely can. What about glutathione and detoxing? Heard there might be side effects at first. You know, for some people there are and some people there aren't. Here's my kind of rule of thumb on glutathione. If you're on a ton of medications and you've got a ton of health problems, we're going to take glutathione really slow. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to have like, lethargic. I just want to lay in bed, or I feel flu-like symptoms. I don't want you to have any of that. So use glutathione maybe once or twice a week as you're getting started. Now, myself, Laura, we're healthy people. We slap that glutathione every single day and we just go about our day. Okay, you can use this day or night, find which one works best for you. It doesn't cause headaches or migraines or anything like that. But if you're feeling like you do have more of a headache or a migraine when using it, don't use it as much. And the other thing that I would say also is water. This is so important when you think about, I'm eliminating toxins from my body. That's what glutathione does. I'm boosting my immune system. I'm helping my body with antioxidants. We've got to get rid of this stuff. You've got to drink your water. If you're over 30, 40, 50, you may need more water than even half your body weight in ounces. If you're drinking coffee every day, you're dehydrating yourself. If you're having a glass of wine with dinner, you're dehydrating yourself. If you're drinking any other kind of drinks besides water, you're dehydrating yourself. So look at that water amount and make sure that's happening, because a lot of times a headache is just dehydration. We only got 4 minutes. How does the patch work with someone trying to get off antidepressants? You're going to do that with your doctor. Do not stop your medications. Please do not stop your medications. So you would go to your doctor. Hey, I'm trying this alternative type of therapy. I'm going to use the X39, the Eon, the Nirvana. My goal is to get off these antidepressants because of the long list of side effects, including death. And I'm going to use these. And so we're going to monitor my medication to see how I'm going to wean off of that. That's what you're going to do. Stacking the patches on top of each other. You can definitely do that if you want to. I like to put mine down a line, like I showed you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I'll have 4 or 5 below my belly button, but you can stack one on top of the other, like this. Like if I want to take this and put this one on top of here, you can, just for space purposes. There's no need to, and I can't get that off of there now, whatever. So you can, but you don't have to. It's totally fine. 3 inches below the belly button, it does not matter. You can stick it on your belly button. You can stick it on top of your nose. You can put it on the back of your, your calf, your big toe. It doesn't matter. As long as you have it on, know that it's signaling your body and it's working systemically, means throughout. So you can definitely put it anywhere you want to signal your body's stem cell production or, reduce inflammation. If your shoulder's hurting frontal side, put your X39 Eon LifeWave on it. Just stick it all over the area, pepper the whole area if you want to. Symptoms, complications of sickle cell anemia. Woo, definitely stem cell activation patch. Absolutely. That's how I found out about cord blood. Quick story. I was pregnant with Taylor, don't watch TV. For some reason, popped on the Lifetime channel, and it was showing a documentary of African-American children that were dying of sickle cell anemia, and they were using donated cord blood to cure them, C-U-R-E, cure them. And I was like, whoa, you can cure sickle cell anemia? And of course, then they start talking about the benefits of cord blood for down the road. If you ever have heart disease or diabetes or cancer or Alzheimer's, dementia, any of these types of things, you can reverse them with cord blood. And I thought, oh my God. And that was amazing. And I turned the TV off. And then the next week I get a postcard in the mail. Remember, this is 20 years ago, wanting to send me information about banking my kids' cord blood from a company called Viacord. And I, of course, filled that out and mailed it. And I thought, this is a God thing. What are the chances? I don't even know this exists. And I get this packet, a big folder in the mail, and it's $2,500 to bank each kid's cord blood. And so I did that. So X39 stem cell activation patch. And then make sure we have 1 minute. We've got to get on the patching podcast. Out of the white patches, it goes with the LifeWave. Yep, not going to work. Nope. You need to order more then. So the LifeWave works with a tan and a white. You always want to use a tan and the white at the same time. Can I use one of the white patches from the energy patches? So they work totally different. No, energy enhancer triggers beta oxidation. LifeWave does not trigger beta oxidation. So make sure we've got anything else really quickly. Hormones, we talked about that. You do not have to have X39 for other patches to work. That patch has just been out for 3 years. And so the other patches, the company, obviously David started it, like I said, again, 20 years ago. Does NAC supplement help boost the effectiveness of the glutathione? It can. It definitely can if you, if your body is not producing that, if it's that pathway is not there. David always says that NAC is really good for our immune system in general to help our body. So yeah, absolutely. He always talks about the benefits of NAC, but it does. You don't have to have it for the patch to work. No. And I think we're out of time. Okay, so looks like a lot of questions. So here's the thing, last thing, is it effective? Someone's asking, is it an X39 effective just for, if I just use this, will this help the kidneys? This will eventually help your kidneys. I cannot tell you when. Your body's stem cell production is activated, it's elevated, it's mobilized, it's going to work, pluripotent stem cells. Your body has its own innate ability to know how to heal itself. You cut your finger, you break your wrist. The bone does not heal because of the cast. The finger does not heal because of the Band-Aid. It's because of the stem cells, but we can't pick where they go. So when you mobilize your stem cells, when you get your own stem cells moving, we can't direct them to your kidneys. So we use supportive patches to help in conjunction to get you there faster. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions that you didn't get answered, please get back with the person that invited you. They are going to be able to help you and assist you. If they don't have the answer for some reason, they are, of course, connected to somebody that does. We all work in a community together to help each other. We have Telegram channel, we have Facebook Messenger channels and Facebook pages, of course, that we're working on. And so we're all connected, one big family helping each other. So if you didn't get your question answered for some reason, I apologize, but we are out of time. And I want to make sure we can get on that patching podcast to hear our 2 testimonials tonight. And I will have this uploaded, of course, to my YouTube channel. It's Dr. Staci, DrStaci. So you guys can check back to that channel. I do at least 1, if not 2 or 3 per week that I upload on there. And you guys can definitely get the recording on there. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for all your amazing questions. I appreciate each of you.